Hi all, I'm Jeanette Keynes from Jewelry Arts Inc. This is part 9 of my Roman Planished chain earrings in apricot gold. I'm going to show you the special tool that I use to give kind of a shipwrecked look for the setting. The setting tool will eventually be available. We're just going back and forth with the prototypes and making sure that the factory can make them exactly right. But when the time comes, I'll be yelling about them being ready. Okay, so here's the close-up. I've got my earring all sort of stuck down with some jet set for support. I've got my first stone in. I'm ready to start setting. I've got, my beautiful, hopefully beautiful, little disc of fine silver underneath the stone to reflect the light. So I'm all prepared. For this top setting, I'm going to be using one of my brand new curved texturing setting tools. You're all going to lose your shit once you get these, and hopefully when I release this video, they'll already be ready on the Jewelry Arts Tools website. But I'm going to give you a quick little preview of how this sexy little baby works. So the whole way that this tool works is, you see how it's curved and it has little teeth. Now, because of the texture, it makes a great texture on your bezel, and it's also super handy because nothing really slips around very much because it really tends to grab on there. So that's always a plus. When I start setting this though, it's more or less going to be not so much different than I normally do with a bezel roller. I've got this, my tool resting on the edge. It's just the whole point of this is not to get it perfectly level and smooth, is to put in some nice curves and stuff like that. So I can use this tool like that for smaller curves, and to the side here for bigger curves. The primary difference though in when I start setting is, unlike a normal bezel roller when I'm putting it in the palm of my hand and everything like that, with this I'm definitely just going to start using that two-handed setting technique with a leather mallet, and I'll do a little demo of that. So I'm ready to set, so I'm just going to give you a little sneak peek on how this whole new setting tool works. What I'm going to do is that, unlike when you're doing the bezel roller where you put it in the palm of your hand, this we're going to use, I usually just use a leather mallet. We're going to use a hammer. So this is like that whole two-handed setting technique I've shown you in many other videos. It's something that I usually do as more of a finishing technique. So, where's my tool? Here it is. Okay, so I'm going to hold my tool in my left hand, which is my non-dominant hand. I rest the tool sort of right against my pinky, because that way I can move the whole thing just like this and kind of relax my hand. So what I'm going to do is position it right on the edge. And you see, it just makes, starts to press it in a little bit, and you'll see a little texture because this is a curved tool. Now, essentially, it's not that really I'm going to set this so differently from a regular bezel, but what I'm trying to do is get, some of those beautiful waves and curves. Now, the way that this tool is made, I can hold it against the bezel just like this. But if I want an even more narrow curve, I can flip it to its side like that. And like I was saying before, because there's a texture there, it doesn't tend to slide around too much, so that's always a nice plus. See, just make a little mark. So I'm going to just start working this around a little bit, and you can watch me do it, and then we'll check back in a little bit later. So you see, I'm going to rest it right up against the edge like this. Because just like always, the first thing you're kind of concentrating on is just, getting that bezel a little closer to the stone, just to start kind of pinching it in. See what I mean? So I'm going to work my way around, get it closer to the stone, and then I'm going to concentrate more on creating some of those little waves. And you notice also my angle is nice and high with my tool. I'm not really like back here. You're more, high up like so. The great thing too about this technique, because of the texture here and the way that it really grabs and you're using the hammer, it happens really fast, which is, who doesn't like that? So you see how we're getting a little, you know, pie crust kind of a thing happening? Now there's a lot of different ways you can do this. Like if you prefer it more smooth, you can just sort of do it evenly over the whole thing. If you like more waves, you can concentrate on that. I mean, there's really a lot of different ways you can customize this, but I'm showing you the setting that I want to do for this one, essentially, which no doubt will change from stone to stone. And honestly, I should have put this in my engraving ball, and I set up everything on the big flat part of the wood, which doesn't fit very well in the engraving ball. So instead of the engraving ball, I'm doing it on top of a magazine. So that was 100% me not just thinking it through. And then I was like, oh, fuck this. I'm not taking it out and redoing it. So there you go. Little laziness. But I mean, this is fine. Block of wood, you know, I set millions of things on a block of wood and just that for many years, and it works just fine. See? So I'm just going to keep working on it a bit, and then I'll check in with you guys a little bit later. So here's a little progress report. You see I've got my little ripply edge with the texture on top. I think I'm going to keep going. You know, these are all, there's no really right answer to this. It's just, you know, what you want, but I want a little more like swirls. So I'm going to keep going. But you see that gorgeous edge I'm getting. And just in case you're worried about some of the little bits on there, at the very end you give it a polish, and anything that feels sharp at all gets polished back. So don't be afraid of texture on your setting. Okay, so here we are, progress report, and I think I'm done. Got some nice waves here. Edges thicken, got some texture, which again, I'll polish that. Okay, so that's looking pretty groovy. So I think I'm gonna take it out of here and, you know, spiff it up a little bit. But I like that edge. I like that, like, to me, it's like the stone's coming out of a shipwreck or something. I don't know. I like it, so I'm moving forward. Yep, there it is. All right, into the hot water it's gonna go after I get all this tape off of here.